Two things I want to talk about swiftly is how would God know the future to begin with? I'm kind of getting, washed out with that term because it's not just the word. It's like, how could like a grand intelligence know the future? How could, and like, did that grand intelligence that knows the future somehow, could he have created a secret program or system or something of that nature where he could also endow within your resonance to obtaining the knowledge of the program system to know the future as well? Because like, how would God know the future? Like, how would he know the future? Like, just casually. And maybe it's time for a pause. Like 50 years from now, the technology is going to be like insane, right? But if this grand intelligence that's micro supremely compressed in you, the soul within the soul, God's soul within your soul, why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be that? So not to be too jumpy like a kangaroo, but like you know, technology right now, it's it won't be anything compared to what technology will be 50 years from now. And what technology right now is doing, it's kind of just it's being upheld and it's being groomed and nourished based on the background space that we're in. What does that mean? The background space that we're in, the different celestial weathers that have within their thresholds upon whatever the different layers of in between the dimensions and the modes of reality, those it's a different type of spiritual compression threshold. And within that spiritual compression threshold, per a certain solar system that's navigating within that solar system spaceship is gauging what particular type of darkness and lightness it's affecting it. And the inhabitants that are affected within that solar system is governed by the different types of radiance, energies of spectrums of dark and light per where the solar system is in the binary star. But we don't necessarily perceive that. We don't necessarily perceive that maybe like a grand intelligence, the supreme God, could have different versions of this binary star. So if there's different versions of this binary star that we're in, and we're like more or less, in a particular type of yuga, and within like just on an energetic, scientific level, all the yugas are happening simultaneously. It's a matter of your personal individual frequency and your deep ass relationship and how you're representing all of the yugas within you, because all of the yugas are happening simultaneously within God's perspective. Because why wouldn't God be at all the yugas? Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga, and I believe one of the four is called Dwarpa Yuga. Excuse me for the terminology, but anyways, and obviously the order was kind of not necessarily so, but I believe we're in all of the yugas right now because it's to be looked at on an energetic way. It's to be looked at as a collective frequency. It's a collective frequency simultaneously where we're at in physical space, because even in like the darkest of Kali Yuga, wherever that is, that's still contained in a bigger universe. So if it's still contained in a bigger universe, is it possible that God from the super Satya Yuga, because maybe there's super yugas aside from all the four yugas, because like God's positioning and perspective is different from the humans. So from God's super Satya Yuga, why can't God see anything that's happening within any type of Kali Yuga, any context of Kali Yuga, despite wherever segment of Kali Yuga we're in? Because simultaneously we're coming in and out of Kali Yuga per how we're creating this reality, the society dynamic and the governmental dynamics based on based on what we're collectively giving attention to and paying attention to. There's another point I wanted to mention about, like, technology being what it is right now. It's like what technology is right now. Like, that's cool. It's cool. Like that's cool that it's advanced. But there's always more room for advancement. But getting back to the main topic is seeing, like, we, like, per the collective parties and per the collective associations, it's possible for a particular miraculous transition to happen where Kali Yuga could more so be cleared up. But that's just a probability. That's not necessarily the case, because us as collective specimens within our different circumstances and dynamics, in infinite circumstances and dynamics, we all have different relationships to time as well. And what do I mean by that? Your individual past, present, future, aside from the collective past, present, and future, aside from respectively, God's collective past, present, and future. Because if God already knows the binary star, maybe the future isn't exactly certain, but it's certain in the context that where we're going in as far as something of a physical space, the energies and the parameters there are having a more exalted, higher octave of a fixation. If the solar system is traveling in a binary star, and within us going into the future of the binary star, well, within a certain different type of coordinates axis parameter of the solar system and the galaxy, most respectively, then how the different spiritual fixations there, the weather is different there. So if our solar system is going to a place of different weathers and a different physical space to spiritual space, then that's something of a context of a future, because the celestial weathers are already, like, pre-predicated upon what they're doing, and we're just embracing ourselves within that. So we're preparing ourselves with possibly having a harmonic relationship with technology, but technology isn't necessarily more advanced than the spiritual skies, because the spiritual skies, they're already self-existing as they are, and technology is not necessarily, like, experiencing that. It's only recording, documenting, and anchoring the results of things, and it acting as its own individual material mechanism processor for us to, like, have a symbiotic relationship with the humans to embrace that future per se. So we have a different relationship with time, because our individual self, we could focus on where someone else has been, but where that person has been, that's just one little page. It's a speck to where their whole relationship of time is with themselves, the collective, and God. Because everybody has a supremely unique, different relationship with themselves, with where they're newly resetted out within their individual self, where collective has already been doing all of this, shenanigans, constructive and deconstructive respectively, and God ultimately being somehow in this real timeless realm, and God, like, self-correcting himself as you know as he could be participating with this on a subtle individual energetic level, because God is in everything, right? So it's like, I don't think anybody should really talk about, like, oh, Krishna's this, Krishna's that, Krishna's that. No, there's a universal mechanism, mechanic system that self-corrects things that are going towards some type of next level perfection, next level harmony. So if that process that's created by God is self-correcting anybody, who's to really say Krishna is anything, when there's a big system that he created billions of years ago that's self-correcting himself? Oh, Krishna's that, Krishna's this. No, there's a big universal system of perfection that self-corrects things for you to be correct. So no one has, like, any right to speak about who and what Krishna is without understanding him originating the universal mechanics, period. So I don't want to hear any of that shit. Like, it's just biased. It's passed down knowledge that's not experience. It doesn't make sense. But anyways, how someone could view our past, why wouldn't someone else view your past? And your present is a past, and your present is a present that's not necessarily in the future. And the future of you is probably thinking of your present as energetically immature. That's just what it is. So within that, you know, the collective is also seeing the past, present, and future, respectively, more or less, of everybody's individual past, present, and future. So within that, like, our perception upon other people, we have gaps in our intelligence. We have absence of intelligence based on our own energetic bias, based on how God is putting us through the raw, brutal, universal mechanics of us growing from whatever you're growing into as 0 years old to whatever you will die into and then retransform based on the most advanced universal mechanics, period. So how would God know the future? God would know the future because this version of the binary star, he knows where the solar system is going within the galaxy, and he knows the weather of that and how things are going to more or less self-situate within this new experiment, because there's always going to be division, for better, for worse, for good or bad, and there's always going to be unity, for better, for worse, for good and or bad, because things are self-organizing and self-correcting themselves. And as they're self-organizing, self-correcting themselves, we're always going to be tailored to one corner of the space of whatever container that we're in. So I got like 30 seconds. So how does God know the future, and how could you know the future? Well, it's just getting the clues, because it's an anomaly probability that you're going to actually reach heaven in a certain type of particular harmony or not, you know. So I don't know. I got 12 minutes on this video for some reason, and yeah, have the best life ever.